Welcome to our YouTube channel, The Alien Tales, and please ensure that you have subscribed.
She ages 1 year every day. We had one perfect week together. Her metamorphosis cycle compresses a lifetime into a month. I witnessed her childhood, her prime, and now I hold her hand as she grows old. The research station's alarms pierced through the thin atmosphere of Kepler 442b, jolting me from sleep. As head xenobiologist, I'd grown accustomed to false alarms, usually just atmospheric fluctuations or equipment malfunctions. But this signal was different, organic, deliberate. I found her in the crystalline caves beneath the northern ridge, suspended in what appeared to be a cocoon of translucent biomatter. The structure pulsed with an ethereal blue light, rhythmic like a heartbeat. Inside, I could make out a humanoid form, small, delicate, undeniably alive. "Command, this is Dr. Thaddeus Marlowe," I whispered into my comm unit. "I found something extraordinary." The extraction took 6 hours. When the cocoon finally dissolved, releasing its occupant onto the sterile floor of my lab, I witnessed something that defied every principle of evolutionary biology I'd studied. She was beautiful, undeniably human in appearance, yet somehow more. Her skin held a faint luminescence, and her eyes were the color of nebulae. She couldn't have been older than 16 Earth years, with features that spoke of youth and wonder. When she opened her eyes and looked at me, I felt something shift in the universe's fabric. "Who are you?" she asked in perfect standard, her voice melodic and clear. "I'm Thaddeus," I replied, offering her a thermal blanket. "What's your name?" She considered this for a moment, tilting her head like a curious bird. I think I'm Lyralei. That was 3 days ago. 3 days during which I've documented the most remarkable biological phenomenon in human history. Lyralei ages exactly 1 Earth year every 24 hours. Yesterday, she was 17. Today, she's 18. Tomorrow, she'll be 19. And somehow, impossibly, I'm falling in love with her. "Your cellular structure is unlike anything in the database," I explained, pointing to the holographic display showing her DNA sequence. Lyralei sat cross-legged on the examination table, now visibly 19, her features more defined than yesterday. "But I feel normal," she said, studying her hands with fascination. "Well, mostly normal. Everything feels accelerated, like I'm living in fast forward." I'd spent the night analyzing her biological markers. Her telomeres shortened at an exponential rate, but rather than causing deterioration, they seemed to trigger controlled metamorphosis. Each day brought subtle changes, not just in age, but in knowledge, wisdom, emotional depth. "Do you remember anything before the cocoon?" I asked. She closed her eyes, concentrating. "Fragments, a dying star, a desperate journey. My people were called the ephemerae. We live brief, intense lives by your standards. A full life cycle is only 30 days. 30 days, I repeated, the implications hitting me like a physical blow. "Yes." Her eyes opened, meeting mine with startling clarity. "I have 8 days left before I begin declining. After that, perhaps 10 more before." She didn't finish the sentence. I wanted to protest, to deny the mathematical certainty of her fate, but the scientist in me recognized the truth. Instead, I found myself asking, "What do you want to do with the time you have?" A smile spread across her face, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her. "I want to live, Thaddeus, really live. And I want to understand what this feeling is when I look at you." My heart hammered against my ribs. I was 42 years old, a respected researcher who dedicated his life to logic and facts. Yet here I was, contemplating the impossible. "Lyralei," I began, but she held up a hand. "I know it's complicated. I know it doesn't make sense. But time moves differently for my kind. What humans experience over decades, we feel in days. My emotions, my capacity for connection, they're not diminished by brevity. They're intensified." Day 5 brought changes that took my breath away. Lyralei was 21 now, and her transformation wasn't just physical. Though the way her body had developed, gained curves and grace, made it hard for me to maintain professional distance. Her mind had sharpened to razor precision. "You're afraid," she observed as we walked through the hydroponic gardens I'd cultivated over 3 years of isolation. Afraid of caring about someone you'll lose. Couldn't deny it. Wouldn't you be? She stopped beside the tomato plants, their red fruit gleaming under artificial sunlight. Thaddeus, look at these plants. You planted them knowing they'd only produce for a season. You still tended them, watered them, talked to them. Why? Because the beauty was worth it, I admitted. Exactly. She took my hand, and I felt electricity shoot up my arm. My people understood something yours struggle with. Love isn't diminished by brevity, it's purified by it. When you know something is temporary, you appreciate it completely. That evening, she helped me prepare dinner in the station's small galley. Her movements were fluid, confident, as if she'd been cooking for years rather than days. We talked about everything, her fragmented memories of her homeworld, my childhood on Europa, the loneliness of deep space research. Do you ever wonder if the universe is conscious? She asked, stirring the protein synthesizer's output into something that actually resembled food. Sometimes, I said, watching her profile in the soft kitchen light. Especially now. The odds of me finding you, of us. I trailed off. Of us falling in love? She finished gently. There it was. The word I'd been dancing around for days. Yes, I whispered. She turned to face me fully, her luminescent eyes serious. Then don't waste time wondering about odds, Thaddeus. Love me while you can. Let me love you while I can. Some people never get even a day of what we have. When she kissed me, I tasted starlight and possibility, and I knew I was lost. The 6th day dawned with Lyralei at 22, radiant in the way that only someone truly alive can be. We'd crossed a threshold the night before, and the air between us hummed with new intimacy. I dreamed of my homeworld, she said, lying beside me in the narrow station bunk. Her skin still held that subtle glow, and I traced patterns along her shoulder. It was beautiful once. Purple skies, crystal cities, seas that sang with bioluminescence. What happened to it? Time. Her voice carried ancient sadness despite her young appearance. Not the violent death of war or catastrophe, just entropy. My people evolved to compress experience because we knew our world was dying slowly. We became living poetry, brief and intense. I pulled her closer, feeling the steady rhythm of her accelerated heartbeat. Are there others like you? I don't know. I was in the final pod, the last hope. If there are survivors, they're scattered across the galaxy, each living out their month in isolation. She turned to look at me. But I'm not isolated, am I? I have you. The morning passed in a blur of conversation and connection. Lyralei had reached full adult maturity, her intelligence keen and multifaceted. She helped me recalibrate the atmospheric processors with insights that would have taken me weeks to reach alone. You're remarkable, I told her as we worked side by side. So are you, she replied, adjusting a complex algorithm with elegant precision. Your people live such long lives, yet many never truly connect with another soul. You've given me more genuine intimacy in these few days than some experience in decades. That afternoon, we climbed to the station's observation dome and watched Kepler 442b's twin suns set over the alien landscape. She fit perfectly against my side, and I tried not to think about tomorrow. Thaddeus, she said softly, tomorrow I'll be 23. Still young by your standards, but I'll start seeing the subtle signs of my peak approaching. Promise me something, anything. Don't mourn the time we don't have. Celebrate the time we do. Day 7. 23. Lyralei had reached what she called her prime, the perfect balance between youthful vitality and mature wisdom. She was breathtaking, and I found myself memorizing every detail of her face, her laugh, the way she moved through space like she was dancing. This is it, she said, standing before the mirror in the station's small refresher. This is as good as it gets for my kind. Peak physical condition, maximum cognitive function, optimal emotional balance. But I could see something else in her reflection. A shadow of awareness. The weight of knowing this was the pinnacle before the decline. We spent the morning making love with desperate intensity, as if we could somehow slow time through the force of our connection. Afterward, she lay in my arms, tracing the gray at my temples. Do you know what I love most about your species? She asked. Tell me. You age so gradually that you barely notice it day by day. You have the luxury of taking time for granted. My people never could. Every moment was precious because we could feel our lives flowing away like sand through an hourglass. I kissed her forehead, tasting salt from tears I hadn't realized I'd shed. I wish I could give you more time. You can't give me more time, but you can give me more life in the time I have. She sat up, her eyes bright with purpose. I want to experience everything I can. Show me your favorite piece of music. Teach me to cook your grandmother's recipe. Tell me about the first time you saw Earth from space. So I did. We spent the day filling every moment with experience, with connection, with the kind of deep sharing that usually takes couples years to achieve. She absorbed it all with the intensity of someone who knew each experience might be her last. That evening, as we watched the stars through the dome, she said, I need you to know something, Thaddeus. These 7 days with you have been a complete life. If I died tonight, I would die fulfilled. Don't say that. I have to. Because tomorrow, I'll be 24, and the decline begins. I need you to understand that what's coming isn't failure. It's completion. 24. The changes were subtle but unmistakable to my trained eye. A faint line at the corner of her eyes. A slight stiffness in her movements when she first woke. Her luminescence had dimmed almost imperceptibly. Lyralei noticed my observation and smiled sadly. The beginning of the end. There has to be something, I said, pulling up her cellular scans on the main display. Some way to slow the process, reverse it, anything. She moved behind me, her hands resting on my shoulders as I worked frantically at the console. Thaddeus, stop. I can't stop. I won't lose you. You already have me, she said gently. Completely. But trying to change what I am, what my nature demands. That's not love. That's fear. I spun around to face her, desperation making my voice harsh. Of course I'm afraid. I love you, and tomorrow you'll be 25, and the day after that 26, and in less than 2 weeks you'll be gone. How am I supposed to accept that? Her eyes, still luminous despite the dimming, filled with compassion. The same way you accept that the suns will set, that the seasons will change, that everything beautiful in the universe is temporary. By loving it completely while it's here, we spent the day more quietly than before. She was still herself, still brilliant and warm and achingly beautiful, but there was a new quality to her presence. A sense of someone looking back as much as forward. Tell me about your childhood, she said as we sat in the garden. Surrounded by the plants I'd coaxed to life in this alien soil, I shared stories I'd never told anyone. The loneliness of being raised by scientists more interested in their research than their son. The first time I looked through a telescope and felt the universe calling to me. My decision to leave Earth behind for the stars. You were looking for something, she observed. Out here in the void. I thought I was looking for answers. New species, new worlds, new understanding. I touched her face gently. I found love instead. Maybe they're the same thing. Day 9. 25. The decline was becoming more apparent now. Silver threads in her hair, lines mapping the corners of her eyes and mouth. She moved with the careful grace of someone whose body was no longer entirely trustworthy. It's speeding up, she said matter-of-factly, examining herself in the mirror. The aging process accelerates as we approach the final phase. By day 14, I'll look 60. By day 20, well, I stopped eating, stopped sleeping properly. The station's automated systems monitored my vital signs and kept suggesting medical intervention for stress-related symptoms. You're killing yourself, Lyralei said, bringing me a meal I wouldn't touch. Better than watching you die. She slapped me. The sound echoed through the small galley, sharp and shocking. How dare you, she said, her voice fierce despite its new roughness. How dare you waste the time we have left wallowing in self-pity. I am here. I am alive. I am still me. And I need you to be present for this, Thaddeus. I need you to help me die as beautifully as I've lived. The slap broke something in me, or maybe fixed something. I looked at her, really looked, and saw past the physical changes to the essential Lyralei beneath. Still luminous. Still remarkable. Still the woman I loved. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be sorry. Be here. Be with me. We spent the afternoon recording her memories, fragments of her homeworld, insights about her people, observations about life and love and the nature of existence. She spoke with the wisdom of someone who had lived completely, even briefly. If others of my kind are found, she said into the recorder, tell them this: love is not diminished by brevity. Connection is not weakened by temporary. The universe gave us this gift, to feel a lifetime's worth of emotion in a handful of days. Don't mourn us for being brief. Celebrate us for being bright. That night, she curled against me in the darkness, her body still warm despite everything. 3 more days of youth, she murmured. Then the final transition. Are you ready? I held her tighter. No, but I'll be here anyway. Day 12. 28. The transformation was undeniable now. Lyralei's hair was more silver than gold, her luminescence barely a whisper beneath skin that showed every one of her accelerated years. She moved carefully, deliberately, with the dignity of someone who had accepted what was coming. You're still beautiful, I told her as she sat by the observation window, watching the alien sunrise paint the landscape in shades of copper and gold. Different beautiful, she corrected with a smile that was somehow more radiant for the lines that framed it. This is the beauty of completion, Thaddeus. The beauty of a story fully told. Her voice had changed too, deeper, resonant with hard-earned wisdom. When she spoke now, it was with the authority of someone who had experienced a full lifetime's worth of joy and sorrow compressed into days. I want to tell you something, she said, taking my hand in hers. Her fingers were thinner now, but her grip was still strong. Before I met you, I thought my people's brief existence was tragic. All that potential, all that life gone so quickly. But now I understand. We're not tragic. We're concentrated poetry. We're proof that intensity matters more than duration. I sat beside her, marveling at how she could find peace in what seemed to me like the universe's cruelest joke. The ephemery believed, she continued, that consciousness was the universe's way of experiencing itself. If that's true, then my brief life has given the cosmos something precious, the ability to feel love condensed into its purest form. You're not just a vessel for cosmic experience, I protested. You're Lyralei. You're real, you're individual, you matter. I am all of those things, she agreed. And because we connected, because we loved completely and without reservation, we've created something eternal. Love doesn't die when the lovers do, Thaddeus. It becomes part of the universe's memory. As if to prove her point, she pulled out a small device, something she'd been working on in secret using the station's fabrication systems. A quantum storage matrix, she explained, keyed to the specific electromagnetic signature of our shared memories. Everything we've experienced together, every moment of connection. It's all here, preserved in crystalline form, indestructible, eternal. She pressed the device into my palm. It was warm, pulsing gently with familiar blue light. Now we'll always have our perfect week. Day 15. 31. Lyralei looked like a woman in her 60s now, her once luminous skin translucent and delicate. But her eyes, her impossible nebula-colored eyes, still held all the warmth and wisdom that had made me fall in love with her. She spent most of her time in the observation dome now, watching the stars she would soon rejoin. I sat with her, holding her increasingly fragile hand, marveling at how she faced the approaching end with such grace. Do you remember? She said, her voice barely above a whisper. When you asked me what I wanted to do with the time I had? Yes, I said I wanted to live. Really live. She turned to look at me, and I saw no fear in her eyes, only profound contentment. I did that, didn't I? I lived more in 2 weeks than many do in a century. It was true. In our brief time together, she had experienced passion, wonder, discovery, deep connection, the full spectrum of human emotion. She had loved and been loved completely. The last phase will be difficult, she said quietly. My people, we don't just fade away. There's a final transformation, a return to light. What does that mean? You'll see. But Thaddeus, I need you to promise me something. When it happens, don't try to stop it. Don't call for medical teams or try to preserve my body. Let me go the way my people are meant to go. Let me become light. The next morning, day 16, she was 32 and could barely stand. I carried her to the observation dome and arranged cushions so she could watch the stars. Soon, she whispered. I love you, I said, the words feeling both inadequate and absolutely essential. I know, and I love you. That love will outlast both of us. As if summoned by her words, the quantum storage device began to pulse more brightly. The physical record of our connection, glowing like a captured star. When you're old, she murmured. When you're ready to let go yourself, hold that crystal and remember us. Remember that for one perfect week, two souls found each other across the vast emptiness of space and created something beautiful. By evening, she was 33 and sleeping more than she was awake. I held vigil beside her, memorizing the sound of her breathing, the warmth of her skin, the faint luminescence that still flickered beneath the surface. Tomorrow would be day 17. Day 17 would be the beginning of the end. Day 19. 35. Lyralei's breathing was shallow, labored. Her skin had become almost translucent, and I could see the network of light that ran through her body like captured starfire. She hadn't spoken in hours, but her eyes tracked my movements, still aware, still present. I had called no one, made no desperate transmissions to command requesting medical assistance. This was her choice, her nature, her beautiful and terrible biology playing out as it was meant to. I'm here, I whispered, stroking her silver hair. I'm right here. At sunset, she opened her eyes fully for the first time that day. The luminescence was building, growing stronger even as her body grew weaker. Thaddeus, she breathed, her voice like wind through crystal caverns. What is it, love? Thank you for seeing me, for loving me, for letting me be exactly what I am. The light was spreading now, emanating from her skin, her hair, her eyes. She was becoming radiant, ethereal, more energy than matter. The universe, she whispered, is so much bigger than we imagined, so much more beautiful. I can see it all now. Every star, every world, every moment of love that ever was or will be. We're all connected, Thaddeus. All part of the same infinite song. Her body was dissolving into pure light now, but somehow she was still there, still present, still Lyralei. Will I see you again? I asked, tears streaming down my face. You'll see me every time you look at the stars. You'll feel me every time you choose love over fear. You'll know me in every moment of connection you have for the rest of your life. The transformation was nearly complete. She was more light than flesh, more energy than form. Don't forget, she said, her voice now coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Don't forget our perfect week. And then she was gone. Not dead, transformed. The observation dome filled with soft blue light that swirled and danced before streaming out through the transparent walls to join the stars. I sat alone in the sudden silence, holding the quantum crystal that pulsed with the rhythm of our shared heartbeat. Outside, a new star had appeared in the constellation I'd named for her 2 weeks ago. Lyralei, my brief, brilliant love. My proof that the universe was conscious, was kind, was capable of creating miracles in the form of a woman who aged 1 year every day and taught me that forever isn't measured in time. It's measured in depth of connection. I would carry her with me for the rest of my long human life. And when my time came, I would hold the crystal and remember. We had one perfect week together, and it was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything.